What's up, everybody? It is another forecast here by Adrian with the forecast, and it's going to be another update on the potential for deep freeze and as well as chances for snowfall across the eastern and central United States for much of the beginning of next week, basically the few days before Thanksgiving, where we are watching out for completely different pattern change than what we're currently seeing right now in these same areas. We're going to watch out for extremely deep freeze as well as chance for multiple low pressures along those extremely intense and amped up trough, and watching out for potential snow, whether it's the upper Great Lakes or possible nor'easters. We're watching out a lot, and confidence is continuing to grow in this extreme deep freeze and winter type pattern invasion just in time for Thanksgiving. So if you guys want to get updates on this, I would recommend you guys watch the whole video and subscribe if you want more updates, as I will continue to post about this daily. As well, be sure to smash that like button if you haven't already done so to get the algorithm to recommend this video towards new viewers. And last but not least, be sure to hit the bell icon so you guys get notified as soon as I post a video. But without further ado, let's get in the forecast. So already the 6 to 10 day outlook already includes an area of below average temperatures all across the eastern United States. So we're going to be watching out for the main area below average temperatures, specifically a lot more different compared to the averages. So the severity of the actual cold there will be mostly along all the way from the upper Great Lakes down into towards portions of the deep southeast. So kind of watching for this whole area to get the main glimpse and the main actual. They'll feel it a lot more. So we're actually going to get by, I believe, Tuesday morning. We're going to be seeing below freezing temperatures all the way down towards south of Atlanta. And considering that it's going to be the few days before Thanksgiving, that's definitely a pretty big thing for Atlanta. We're seeing some really cold temperatures, even some upper teens and across much of the Great Lakes a few days before Thanksgiving. So it's start getting really, really cold, and it's going to set the potential for a very good environment for multiple chances of seeing at least one or two snowstorms along this area. So, going to watch out for maybe for a wintry type pattern a few days before Thanksgiving, which will obviously be something very interesting, as well as something important to talk about if there's a lot of travel road wise and as well flight wise. So we're going to have to watch out for that the few days before Thanksgiving. But again, we do have an area of 50 to 60% chance of below average temperatures across the area, and considering it's basically, again, a week out or so, just under a week, that is pretty large number. So we're going to continue to see this number most likely start to increase in likelihood. Of course, going to start seeing the opposite part of the United States. Going to be seeing kind of southern ridge developing here, while we see a really amped up trough dipping the jet stream across the eastern United States. Going to be seeing some nice cold, wet, and overall possibly wintry type weather. So let's not get a look here at the overall climate prediction center. We're going to be looking at the overall risk of hazardous temperatures from November 24th towards November 30th. So kind of looking at much Thanksgiving week here. So I believe Thanksgiving to 25th. So this kind of is valid just the day before Thanksgiving. So it still includes the overall time frame we're looking at for. So already see a large area of a slight chance of having much below normal temperatures are going to be right here. It's actually going to be a 20%. I know you can't see it because my webcam, but this is a 20% all across the vicinity from the deep southeast all across the I-95 corridor, and eventually making its way towards Cape Cod and areas of New England. So including much of the area that I just talked about in the last one in the 6 to 10 day outlook, it's including a lot of this area already. And the fact that we already have a slight risk included for such a large area, it's definitely saying something. So there's a lot of confidence now that the climate prediction centers and the weather prediction center are all kind of jumping on top of it. So definitely watching out for extreme confidence with this actual deep Arctic invasion, but there's going to be a little bit less confidence in the snowstorm, because yesterday we actually had a highlight. I believe we had a highlight somewhere over here for snow, but now they took it away. So there's a little bit less confidence with the actual snowstorm parts, but there's still a likelihood, considering how cold it's going to be and the amount of moisture convection, that maybe sooner or later we either see this become a moderate risk, or we see another circle somewhere highlighted for another hazardous risk. But I'm going to continue to see how this progresses, but already a slight risk for next week here. So let's now go ahead and get into the medium range forecast. We're looking at the overall surface map anomaly, so you guys can get a better look at what we'll be expecting surface-wise with fronts and how significant the trough is going to be. So this is actually looking at day 5, which is November 21st, which is a Sunday. the Sunday before Thanksgiving. So this point we're gonna be seeing the main trough. The main trough will be actually this really amped up area of low pressure, very steep pressure. It's gonna be actually located basically just north of Ontario, right there in that massive lake right here between Ontario there, and I think. I can't remember. I know that's Saskatchewan. I think this one, either one of these are Alberta. I think this one's Alberta. So, it's just north of Ontario. That's where you can kind of tell by the isobars. That's where they're really closely linked together. So, seeing some really strong winds and disturbed weather over there. And then we're gonna be seeing basically a large occluded front, a warm front, and a cold front attaching as far south. So, we're gonna be seeing a really large the kind of the alpha low pressure is going to be way up there across Ontario, and then we have fronts stretching down to the United States. So again, this is actually going to bring some cold weather as early as Sunday, but they're going to be seeing a few kind of more lower, some smaller low pressures developing along that stationary front on Sunday by day 6. Now this trough quickly makes its way down, dipping to the jet stream a day later, quickly now advances, and now we have a main low pressure now with a just basically a cold front and occluded front. So it's going to have a cold front all the way from northern Mexico towards obviously the center of the Great Lakes. It's going to have a cold front to the north and a cold front to the south. And of course, we're going to obviously have another low pressure just to the east here with another cold front and a warm front to the north. So we're going to be seeing a lot of cold air just invading all this part of the United States by Monday. So obviously we already have a cold front moving in by Sunday or by Saturday and Sunday, because this other low pressure right here, of course, brings in some cold air. And then we have another massive, and we're talking about a massive Arctic invasion here. I mean, look at how cold. This is all going to be really cold, about cold air advection. And it's obviously a massive cold front. I mean, it's stretching from the spine of the Great Lakes down towards northern Mexico. So it's going to really be bringing some intense cold weather. So this is also why, since it's such a steep low pressure and it's such strong, possibly has a chance to become a clipper. This could very well become a clipper, considering how strong the winds are going to be and how light the snow is going to be. So this could very well become a clipper. So it's something very interesting, but really strong trough. You can kind of tell it's a little bit more negative tilted based on the way the ISO lines are kind of towards like that way. You can kind of tell the ISO lines that they're really kind of tilting to the southeast a little bit based on the lines. Like the further you go, the more it tilts to southeast. So that's how you know it's negative tilt tip. So really strong amped up trough here by day 6. That's going to be the Monday. And then my Tuesday quickly makes its way towards New England. I mean, we're talking really low pressure. I mean, look at this latest ice line right there, 996 millibars. And then within it's probably going to be really the main low pressure itself might be 980, 990. And then most likely very bomb out. But look at that cold front. I mean, this is absolutely mental of a system. This is a very large system. This is a very intense trough. This is typically something we don't really see this often in November at all. This is a really strong low pressure, really strong system, a really strong trough. I mean, look at that really strong trough. I mean, this is a nasty pattern. So we could very well see some really deep cold air with it. I mean, significantly cold air, maybe dangerous cold air across the far northern portions of the Great Lakes, and as well New England. We could very well hit single digits with this. I mean, this is going to be extremely a really intense system. As well, we're going to watch out for a chance of some snowstorms to develop as well with this system. And I'm about to show you guys how amped up this trough is actually going to be. So let's now look at November 19th, which is this Friday. We're not looking at this one right here. This is kind of a preliminary, that first front I was talking about with that minor cold front. So it's going to bring some cooler air across the eastern United States and southeast this weekend, just before we get towards the very beginning of Thanksgiving week there. But there is the mass. So this is actually going to come in from the Arctic Circle. So it's going to be an Arctic invasion, basically like an Arctic blast, literally the Arctic blast, because it is coming from the Arctic Circle. It's coming from far up there now, really out there in Alberta and the Alberta Circle and the Arctic Circle, whatever you want to call it. So there's that really intense trough there, really steep area of low pressure, really cold air as well associated with it. And then it starts to kind of rotate as well, that Rossby wave, obviously the typical Rossby wave rotating around the northern globe. So it's going to kind of, obviously, as this first trough kind of makes its way out, it's going to be replaced with a very weak ridge. I mean, it really won't even be acting as a ridge, because we're actually going to be seeing some really cold weather associated with it. But it's going to be calm weather, really sunny, calm wind. So it's kind of obviously high pressure itself, but it's going to be pretty cold. It's actually going to be involved with the actual cold front, because because that high pressure can be so cold. Sorry, it's so close behind that other front right there on Saturday that it's gonna be associated with cold air. But this is gonna be the main one right here by Saturday. It's now making its way in towards now portions of Canada, Alberta, Saskatchewan, British Columbia, a little bit portion of British Columbia. Uh, and now by Sunday, it starts to make its way towards the United States. So it actually dips this cold air as soon as the next, almost what this will be tomorrow, Wednesday. So that'll be basically 4 days until actually, yeah, it'll be 4 days till it actually makes its way into the United States. So it's not too far out, really. But look how deep cold that is. I mean, that's a really significant trough already. And obviously, with this incoming trough developing now along the central portion of the Alaskan Bay, that's going to force a positive PNA pattern with a really strong ridging. Now, getting really, really far east towards the Pacific Northwest. That's really caused really strong ridging pattern. It's going to cause obviously a positive PNA pattern where we see some really strong ridging across the west. And it's going to allow for any negative to the trough or any cold front to actually dip very far into the eastern United States. That's exactly what it's going to do. It's going to dip so far east that at that point it's actually just going to dip towards mainly the northeast. That's how far east it's going to go. And then again, really intense ridging pattern by Monday. Really, really intense cold front, and of course a cold front attached throughout the whole spine of this front, but really amped up trough. I mean, this is a really extreme trough. It's really strong. I mean, I don't know how to explain how strong it is. I mean, look how strong that trough is. I mean, that's absolutely crazy. And it's going to bring in, like, we're talking maybe 30-degree differences within 2 days with this, because how significant this cold is going to be. So definitely watching out for really deep freeze, cold air, snow, you name it. It's going to be basically a wintry wonderland across some portions. I mean, it's going to be so cold. I mean, we may get towards, I mean, upper 30s as far north as, or as far south as North Florida. Who knows? I mean, it's going to be a really, really cold pattern. But the thing is, it's going to be lasting such a short time because it's going to be kind of associated with a clipper that it's going to be so fast moving that it may not even last a day and a half. But look at Tuesday. I mean, look how significant it looks. It looks like just a little circle there instead of like an actual kind of trough type shape. It's just a circle there. It looks like it's kind of like a really strong bomb cyclone. And look how intense those winds are. I mean, we are definitely watching out the chance for maybe a clip here. We can't rule out the possibility because look how strong these winds are going to be associated with this trough. And it's going to be really fast moving, low pressure. It's all going to kind of be front based. I mean, look how intense and amped up those winds are. Going to be seeing some really intense winds with this possibly. And I already know some areas are forecasted already a week out to get gusts up to 30 miles an hour. And considering it's a week out, it's really early to forecast winds that high. So we are definitely watching out for a really intense, really ugly weather pattern to specifically enter the northeast too. It's going to be really ugly for New England. Could see some really intense flooding, really intense mountain snowfall, really intense wind as well. So if you're like planning to fly into the northeast on Tuesday or Wednesday, it is not going to be a good day. You may want to reschedule it towards early in the week, towards the end of this week, because this is not going to be a beautiful pattern. We were talking about a potential clipper. Who knows, even nor'easter. It's going to be a really nasty pattern. Let's look how close it's going to get, though. Again, deep freeze moving in by Tuesday across much of the United States. But like I said, it's going to arrive as early as Sunday. But it really won't be too noticeable. It's going to be by Sunday there you see it really cold there, specifically mainly across Alberta and Saskatchewan. Going to get up to 30 degrees below average, and then it kind of calms down a little bit by the time we get towards the United States. Looking at widespread cold air all across the eastern United States, while the west is going to be really warm and dry. But going to be seeing really, really nasty and constant, and it's going to be a really active weather pattern across the eastern United States. I mean, we're talking about anywhere from 10 to 20 to maybe 25 degrees below average. And of course, it's in invade the I-95 corridor by Wednesday. And of course, Wednesday is going to be a really nasty day for New England and overall the Northeast. Let's kind of compare how different these times in this part of the week are going to be to next week. So we're talking about today's Tuesday. Let's see how it is completely different by next Tuesday. But here are the overall highs for tomorrow. Going to get really, really warm tomorrow. I mean, we're talking about getting up to 81 degrees in Florida, 81 into Texas, even getting to 80 across Louisiana because that really strong ridge. And then we're going to get widespread 60s and even 70s as far north as Indiana, which just got snowed 2 days ago, and even snow showers today, or actually yesterday. So really, really, really warm pattern, way above average. I mean, going to get up to 80s back into Georgia and even almost getting 80 up towards like Virginia and getting into the 60s as far north as Maine, which is obviously like 60s in Maine in mid to late November is just almost really unheard of. I mean, it's really, really cold or really, really warm, but of course, I'm gonna be seeing that smaller cold front entering by this Friday, but we really, really don't care about that. But let's now get towards really Sunday. Sunday's when that cooler air starts to arrive into the Midwest. You're gonna start getting up to some lower 20s, almost upper teens. Look at the highs, though. The highs are still pretty warm across much of Dixie in the southeast, still getting some mid 70s. Nashville at 60, Virginia Beach at 62. But there's that cold front. You can just see that cold front. Look at Monday morning getting into the single digits, almost negative digits. I mean, it's going to be like it's going to be basically like an invasion. It's going to knock out your door. And if you don't answer within 1 second, it's going to actually just like barricade your door and like go into your house. Like, it's kind of a weird metaphor, but it's basically going to do that. I mean, look at Minneapolis, for example, kind of. Basically this week it's gonna get close to the 50s and 60s, and then boom, back to single digits you go. Single digits comes and knocks on your door, maybe even negative digits across Minnesota. By Monday morning, this is Monday morning, gonna get a little bit cooler air now entering by Tuesday morning. Look at Tuesday morning, completely different across the southeast, going from 62 in Virginia Beach later this week to back towards basically freezing. Gonna get really cold there, specifically just towards the north of the United States. This main pattern, the more actual, really, really messy pattern is gonna be just to the north, where that main low pressure is. It's almost like 970 millibars up there. That's where we're gonna be seeing the coldest area and the most heavy snow. So if this actually dropped any further southward, we'd be talking about like an absolute historic storm for the United States for Thanksgiving. But thankfully, this trough and that main alpha low pressure is gonna be to the far north. Is going to be basically kind of going like that. It's not going to get anywhere close to the United States, really. But then you have that second low pressure kind of branching off that stationary boundary, and then it kind of tracks something like that. So it's going to be a lot more, including the United States, but obviously it won't be the main system, so it really won't be anything too mental. But single digits across Midwest, getting to the 20s across the Appalachian Mountains, and getting, of course, once again cold for the Northeast, but it's going to get really cold by Wednesday. Like I said, Wednesday's going to be an absolute mess for the Northeast. Going to get towards single digits all across the higher elevations, so it's going to be just an absolute messy time. So let's see the chance for any snowstorms. Like I said, there is going to be a chance. So there's that. Here's the low pressure by Monday. Going to be seeing a lot of snow just to the north. Like I said, a lot of that main snow and a lot of that main good wintry weather is going to be just to the north. So like I said, this low pressure, like this, let's say the low pressure is in Ohio, we're going to be talking about like an absolute like holy grail of snow across the upper Midwest and the Lake Erie and Great Lakes in general. But this low pressure and that main trough is too far north. Also, this warm front, we're going to be seeing obviously a raging pattern basically just before this Monday. So we're going to be seeing still some really warm air. So the fact that this front's moving so quickly, it really wouldn't matter, because even if this low pressure were a little bit further southward, maybe we'll see a lot more snow towards maybe Michigan and Wisconsin. That's it, because all these other areas on Monday are going to be pretty warm still. I mean, we're still going to be seeing highs into the 50s and 60s across this region, and that's why a lot of that is just rain, because it's going to be just to the east of that, it's going to be just to the east of that cold front. So the cold front is going to kind of be like this, basically. It's going to kind of be like that. And that's a cold front, and all it's going to be really just maybe some really warm rain across the deep south, and then some cooler rain across the northeast. But this is going to be by Monday, some snow across the upper Great Lakes. It's going to stay to the north, maybe some few lake effect snow once we get towards the actual overnight hours where it's below freezing. It's going to be Monday, and then going to be seeing, like I said, remaining lake effect snow, but we're going to be seeing some pretty still, like I said, with that trough and that massive like 975 millibar low pressure in Ontario. We're for sure going to be seeing many opportunities for some lower branching off low pressures across the Great Lakes and across the eastern United States. And then we're going to be obviously watching out maybe for a chance of a clipper type pattern, but really amped up the trough. I mean, like I said, by Wednesday's not going to be a pretty day. We're going to be seeing possible some heavy rain, possibly some heavy snow. And then by now Wednesday later on, I'm going to be seeing another low pressure. And this one's going to be very interesting. It's actually going to be a lot further south. and that cold air is gonna be there. Like there's no worry about cold air. By Wednesday, this cold air is gonna be all across the eastern United States, and we're not gonna be seeing any really warm fronts to worry about because this cold front, I mean, this massive Arctic invasion is gonna be all the way over here by them. So all that cold air advection, all that really cold is gonna be already in the Midwest. So you're gonna be seeing a lot of snow now. With this second system across Wednesday, some really heavy snow across still just the main of it to the north. So it's going to kind of be really across far northern Michigan, like Traverse City, Marquette, as well portions of the far upper Midwest, and then it kind of falls apart once it gets to the northeast. And then we get to overall snowfall totals. You can kind of tell how much the United States misses out by. I mean, just far northern Michigan and far northern Wisconsin to get really involved. And then all this is going to be mainly lake effect snow. So we're kind of missing out a lot of it because how the setup is, it's kind of just favoring the areas just to the north of the United States because that cold front's going to be more significant. The low pressure, the main low pressure, and the steeper low pressure, and the more amped up low pressure with the heaviest precipitation to be to the north across Ontario. And obviously, since this front's going to be so fast moving, really don't have the opportunity to cool off or cool down below freezing across these areas across the United States. So it's just the wrong time, really. It's just the wrong location at the wrong time. But listen, now look at the North America, you guys can tell how much we missed out by. I mean, look at all of that snow across eastern Canada. We are just missing out. I mean, if we were like this low pressure, we're down here, we'd be seeing a holy grail for the upper Midwest. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later.